In this video, I'm going to tell you about the parts of being a digital nomad and being an expat that nobody talks about. Just some context, I left the United States around 2020. I sold almost everything I owned and I moved to Bangkok with around 2 backpacks and figured out everything as I went. Now, 5 years later, I'm still here in Thailand and I think it was one of the best decisions I've made. However, there's some real downsides. So I've never really mentioned these things on my channel, but I'm gonna kind of share everything that is not so great here in this video. Now, number one, your friendships back home will inevitably fade, and it's not anybody's fault. You know, I've had some of my long-term relationships back at home, time zone differences, the conflicting schedules, and you guys are just on completely different paths. It's almost inevitable. It is what it is. You know, in life, people come and go, but this is something you should know of. Now, number two is a bit more dramatic. It's that you're going to likely miss a lot of important milestones back home. For example, weddings or funerals or a parent's surgery or a friend's breakdown or a sibling's first kid, or all of these holidays and events that were extremely special and that you shared most of your entire life with as you were growing up in your hometown. You know, living abroad means that sometimes you're just not going to be there. Your life back home and everyone you know completely passes by as yours does abroad. And sure, you could visit back home every now and then, but it is a heavy decision going back home. You know, I've only went back to the States 2 times in the last 5 years just because it's so difficult to go back home. As in, it's like a 20-hour flight, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't have a home in the United States. I gotta stay at $100, $200 hotel. I gotta do these Ubers and the jet lag, and I can't really get much work done because of the time zone differences, because I'm jet lagged, because of my scheduling. It's a huge costly decision. So I'm not saying going back home is not worth it, but you're just most likely not gonna be going back home that often. And you might find that you don't actually want to go back home. Like me here in Thailand, I rarely ever think about the United States. I rarely think about, oh, I wanna tour that city, or I wanna visit my friends back home, or I want to do this and do that. It's like I've just built my whole entire new life abroad, and it's hard for us expats to think about home, you know? We'll make these occasional trips, but we're really not thinking about it. You know, at least I'm speaking for myself. And just a quick note, if you're living in Thailand or you're thinking about making the move, one thing a lot of expats overlook is health insurance. Although healthcare here is incredible and you've got world-class private hospitals like Grad, if something serious happens, these bills can add up extremely fast, especially if you don't have the right coverage. And this is where a lot of foreigners go wrong. They either assume their home country insurance works abroad here in Thailand, or they have a cheap plan that pretty much undercovers them. That's why a lot of expats use Pacific Prime. They're an international health insurance broker that compares plans from over 30 different providers like AXA, Alliance, Pacific Cross, and they match you to the right one based on your age, your budget, your lifestyle, any pre-existing conditions. Whether you're a digital nomad or a retiree or a family settling here in Thailand, they'll walk you through the entire options clearly so you can make the right decision. And their advisors are all English speaking, so you're not navigating any of this alone like in public hospitals, for example, where the English might not be so good. The quotes and the consultations are completely free as well, so you can scan the QR code on screen right here or head to the link in the description to get your free comparison. Now, back to the video. Number 3 is that the relationships you build abroad are oftentimes transient. You're gonna meet incredible new people and you form a lot of real connections and friendships, but honestly, a lot of them leave. And that's just the nature with meeting people abroad. The expat and the tourist community, they run on a cycle. People show up, you get close, then they move on to a new city or have to eventually go back home. So the social circles and the networks you work so hard to build are oftentimes very volatile. You know, they can disappear at any moment. And that can create a real sense of instability or loneliness. For example, if all of my close friends, I have like maybe 5 close friends here in Thailand, if all of them were to disappear, I mean, the experience of me being in Thailand would feel it would be such a dramatic difference, right? The people you know truly make the environment, you know, and that's me speaking in terms of my girlfriend. If my girlfriend were to leave Thailand or you know, something like that, if she were to move, like Thailand almost feels not the same, essentially. Oh, that's my dog. Popo, you all right? So yeah, this is a common experience with expats. You know, they get close to people and then these people just eventually leave. Now, the next downside has to do with dating. Now, dating here can get extremely complicated. I think Thailand in general can be one of the most fun places to date and to meet people, but people don't really talk about the downsides, which is serious relationships can oftentimes feel very uncertain. You know, are you building something long-term with someone when you're not even sure you're gonna be here in a year? And you're asking yourself, like, is this even worth it? You know, do you stay somewhere longer than you planned and ditch your hometown and your travel plans just because of a special person that you met? And you might not even have a lot of confidence in the relationship, especially in the beginning, right? You know, it can really wreck your entire plan. You know, maybe your plan is to live in Thailand for 3 months and then live in Bali for 2 months and then live in China or Korea, or be this whole entire digital nomad that's traveling everywhere. You ask this person to completely prioritize your life and your agenda and to follow you from country to country and to live this nomadic lifestyle, and to think about things like marriage or visas or bank accounts or assets and things like this. It can get kind of messy, or not messy, but maybe very complicated, yeah. And trust me, if you meet a special person abroad, but you eventually have to go back home because of work or because of lack of money, these relationships you meet, a lot of them eventually fizzle out and dry out. But let's say you do find someone worth staying for, then you're gonna find out after the honeymoon phase that there's a lot more cultural challenges than you expected. And there's potentially even language barriers and cultural understandings and communication problems. Like dating someone from a completely different culture can be very fun and exciting, but it comes with an entirely different worldview or expectations or family values or religion or about money. Like Thailand, for example, you're not just dating a single person, you're entering their entire family dynamic, and they can have certain familial expectations of you, and that can be a little bit tricky. And speaking about the language barrier, even if your partner speaks solid English, a lot of things get lost in translation, right? A lot of things get lost in the subcommunication and the different ways you think, you know? Like for example, I know a lot of my friends, they don't know any Thai, and then their Thai partners can speak basic English, but beyond the surface level conversations, they found themselves not having a lot of deep connection. You know, sometimes you just want to have that deep philosophical, soul-to-soul conversations, but that could be hard if there is a language barrier. And trust me, so many expats here, they don't know any Thai, and they have a Thai wife, they have Thai kids, and the Thai wife has their whole Thai family, and the husband, the man, can't even talk to the Thai family at all. They can't even talk to their Thai kid. So it creates this dynamic where it's hard to communicate. You know, you're sitting at the dinner table and you don't really understand the nuances of, you know, you having to share the food or the Thai jokes that they're making at the dinner table. You kind of feel like an outsider or an outcast. These are things that might not happen if you're a date in your home country, but like that's one of the reasons why I learned Thai, is because I don't want to meet my Thai girlfriend's parents and then have like nothing to say, you know, not be able to have rapport with them. So that's definitely a potential big downside. Fortunately, for my case, with me and my Thai girlfriend, we've been together for 4 years and we've worked super hard with the language barrier, you know, me improving my Thai, her improving her English. We really grew in terms of communication, in terms of expectations, in terms of like really how to talk to each other and how to communicate with each other beyond the surface level and beyond the lovey-dovey kind of dynamic. You know, there's more intimate, deep connection, and that's been super important for a long-term relationship. Now, the next downside is a bit more significant, I think. It's that you never truly feel home anywhere. You know, for example, I'm Korean, but I don't exactly blend in with the Koreans that are native from Korea, and I'm American, but I don't exactly blend in extremely well with like Caucasian Americans who have had a very different upbringing than I have. And I can speak Thai, and I've lived here in Thailand for 5 years, and a lot of the Thai culture has rubbed off on me, but if I'm hanging out with a group of Thai friends, I'm the outsider. So no matter where I go, whether it's America or Korea or Thailand, I'm not really 100% home, I feel like. Whereas if I was 100% Thai, born and grew up in Thailand, then I'd probably feel at home in Thailand, right? And there's even a saying here in Thailand that you'll never truly be Thai and that you'll always be looked at as an outsider, simply because of the way you look. And if you live a long life abroad, you still truly don't belong or truly don't integrate. And if you go back home, you might not relate as well because you've already seen too much, you've already been changed too much, you know? And you'll float in this in-between space where you're never truly a local, but you're definitely not a typical tourist. For example, I recently met up with a subscriber of mine in his 70s. He's lived in Thailand for more than 30 years before anyone came. And he told me he doesn't fit in with the other older expats because all they do is just drink all the time. They don't know any Thai, they don't work out, they don't have any hobbies essentially. But he's lived here for so long, so if you were to move back to the States where he came from, he would still have a hard time relating with the people there because he's lived a completely unique life. So he's kind of in this in-between space of being a foreigner and being a Thai local, but actually being an American. It's just like this in-between space. The next one is what I'll call the ambition trap. When all of a sudden your cost of living drops to $1,500 a month, it's very easy to just tell yourself, hey, I'll just make $3,000 a month. I'll be very comfortable. But you wouldn't have that mindset if you were in the States, for example. It's like you cover your expenses, you're comfortable, the weather's great, great, life is good, and then you all of a sudden lose that sense of drive and basically a plateau in terms of work or finances or goals or keeping up with your shape or your grooming or your fashion or these things that you might have once cared about. You can call that like the Matrix or like keeping up with the Joneses or like the status games or being a consumer or being materialistic or whatever. It does have its downsides. But the opposite end of the spectrum is not caring at all about these things and never working on yourself, never having goals, never trying to strive for more. To me, it's important to have a healthy desire and ambition and a good balance because a lot of these things can be lost with a lack of pressure. And when everyone around you starts optimizing for like the cheapest lifestyle and how to penny pinch and how to save as much money as possible, then that's going to become the norm. You know, I personally spend around maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a month in Thailand, and I sometimes talk about that in my cost of living videos on YouTube. The majority of comments are like, that's way too much for Thailand, as if the goal of living in Thailand was to live at the bare minimum and to live as cheaply as possible. That itself is the trap in my opinion. The goal is not to save as much money as possible or to be cheap. The goal is freedom and the goal is comfort. So if you're not careful, living abroad can become a permanent escape from healthy growth and ambition. And I see it all the time here in Thailand. A lot of these expats, like if you look at their before and after, they just get fat, they stop making money, they stop going to the gym, they just wear a tank top and flip-flops all day. They don't really they're happy, I guess, but I think there's a good sense of balance, like trying to take care of yourself, but also prioritizing happiness and the ultimate things in life that matter, but also striving to make as much money as possible and striving to, take care of yourself. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to shove it down your throat or anything, but the next kind of downside is that your dopamine gets rewired, and maybe not in a good way. When you first start traveling and moving abroad, everything is new. You got the new food, the new cities, the new experiences, new people, new conversations, flooded with novelty. But the more you travel, the more normal novelty becomes. For example, after visiting 20 beaches, the 21st beach it's going to feel the same. You're not really going to get that excited, right? And after visiting so many temples in Thailand, the temples in Vietnam might not seem so exciting. And for example, next month, I'm finally going to the United States and I'm going to visit my hometown in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm not excited at all because I know that if I go to a mall in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm going to feel like, this is boring, If I'm paying $20 for a burger, I'm gonna be comparing that to the low cost of Thailand, If I'm gonna be walking the streets in Atlanta and going to some bars, for example, maybe, I gotta be on edge a little bit for my safety. And I'm just gonna be comparing it to my experience in Thailand where all this nightlife here is like really like high class, really premium, really classy. I'm not saying, United States doesn't have that vibe, but I'm gonna be comparing it all the time. And I might get bored easily and I want the stimulation that Asia gives me all the time. So this is like a minor case of having a slight dopamine problem. It's not the most extreme downside, but it is something that you might notice. Especially like I said, if you go to the 21st beach, it doesn't feel as exciting, The next downside is that traveling or moving abroad might not actually fix what you're running away from. There's a saying, wherever you go, there you are. As in, you cannot escape yourself. A lot of people move abroad because they're unhappy and they think that a new country is going to solve all their problems. And honestly, the change of environment does help significantly. You have new stimulation, new perspective, new energy, but it's definitely not the cure-all, and you still have to go through the efforts of fixing like really deep-rooted problems. Otherwise, if you continue the previous habits and the patterns that caused you these problems in the first place in your previous life, you're going to find that they'll eventually follow you in your new life. For example, addictions or financial problems or lust or drugs or lack of work ethic or whatever you're facing. These things can eventually follow you. So you cannot avoid them. You have to look them in their face and deal with them, But this is not to demotivate you. Having a new sense of environment, it can be that brute force that you need to shake you up and they kind of force change in your life. And that's been the case for me actually. Moving here, having a new environment, has made me change my habits, my worldviews, my materialism, my sense of really caring about what other people think, all that stuff. It's helped significantly. So the next downside is that travel is pretty inconvenient and it's pretty uncomfortable a lot of times. You're gonna get scammed. You're most likely going to get food poisoning more than once. You'll oftentimes feel lonely, you'll oftentimes feel purposeless or just tired or exhausted or jet lagged or irregular sleep schedules or lack of focus or lack of getting work done. There's a lot of things that don't make it on social media. Even for me, when I travel for more than a week, I am exhausted. I'm homesick. I just want to go back to Bangkok immediately as fast as possible. I just crave that stability and that predictability. So when you're constantly traveling nonstop and being this true digital nomad of going to this place, going to that place, traveling the world, that is exhausting. Like, I just don't know how people can do that all the time. For me, I love to travel for 3 or 4 days, do a quick burst, feel the energy, have the new experiences, and then come back home, you know? That's sustainable for me, not doing these huge, long travel periods, especially you don't even know people abroad. You know, you gotta make these new relationships again and again and again. It's exhausting in my opinion. But some people really thrive in that environment, especially if you're really extroverted. And the last downside, very quick downside, is that it's hard to buy your favorite brands out here. For example, I wanted to buy this Amazfit Helio strap that tracks my health and my fitness. I had to pay $200 for this in Thailand. This is around $100 in America, for example. If I want to buy Nike shoes or Adidas shoes, they're going to be slightly more expensive here in Thailand. If I want to buy my favorite brands or have access to the same Western brands, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a lot more expensive almost all the time. Especially if you're trying to buy like a car, for example, expect that to be like, I don't know how much more expensive. I think it's like 2 times more expensive or something. But yeah, that's just a quick little downside I thought to mention right quick. But these ultimately were all the downsides that I could think of living abroad and being a digital nomad or being an expat. But by all means, this is not meant to demotivate you. And like I said, this was one of the best decisions in my life. I'd make this decision over and over again if I had to. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know of these. That way you can kind of know what you're signing up for. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you're interested in becoming a content creator and you need help knowing what to post and how to actually earn money from making content, then you can check out my link in the description about my free training. Follow me on Instagram at I'm Paul Lee, and I'll see you guys in the next video.